Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Decision Hour. It's great to be back behind the mic. It's been a while. And, I don't even know what to say right now. This episode is going to be, it's a special episode for me because I got some guys that I've had the privilege to work with and that I consider very close friends, and I'll go as far as to say family. And I'm sure I'm going to regret saying that here in a couple minutes too. These guys are great. I've had the privilege of meeting two of them. The third one, he's been dodging me like INS, but whatever. It happens, you know. It happens. But I love these guys to death, and it's exciting. So I'm gonna, without further ado, because this is really just gonna be one of those holy shit, what the hell did I just listen to type of shows. But we're gonna bring some sound positivity and whatnot. I got the guys from Not Your Average Operator, Paul Mellon, a.k.a. Mellon, and then we got Raph, a.k.a. Tio, and then we got Mike, and
a.k.a. Dickhead.
a.k.a. Dickhead. And that's...
Yeah, Mellon's coming in a little sensitive. We jumped on him before the show.
Yeah,
so.
Well, welcome to the Decision Hour, gents. I appreciate you guys spending time with me today, and Jesus, here we go.
It's a pleasure to be here, Adam. Honestly, stoked you invited us on, mate.
Absolutely. It's been a long time overdue. I mean, I kind of figured you guys were probably wondering why I haven't asked you, and we're about to find out why. So let's go ahead and get started.
We just assumed you knew that you really knew what Tio was like, and you didn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah. That is.
Well, everybody knows I'm elusive and limber. And also, just for the record, Mike is more than just an asshole. He's also like a Bret Michaels with Down syndrome. He likes to bring out this bandana from time to time, and because he thinks it's cool. But it's like it was like the other Irishman from Dubai who said, the poppy seed syndrome. We knock you down as quick as you rise up. So he stopped wearing the bandana, which kind of makes me sad because I used to look forward to it.
Yeah. Well, that'd be like stepping on a landmine because I think it's funny, and then I do it again. Like it doesn't make sense. So, I don't need this abuse. I mean, I thought we were coming on to talk about positivity and I believe mindset. My mindset right now is I'll just hold that in. I want to be a gentleman for this.
You got to have thick skin. You got to have thick skin to survive.
I told you all you were in for a real treat in this episode, and we are 3 minutes in, and I'm already wondering what the hell's going to happen this next hour.
That sounds like Rap Saturday night. Hey, I'm 3 minutes in, but I don't know what's going to happen now.
Hey, for the record, people have been knocked out in less than 3 minutes. That's one heavyweight round. So let that sink in. But before we go any further, Adam, can we talk about Mellon's ensemble here looking like Yanni?
You guys can't see this, but Mellon is
draped in linens.
He's in all white. I mean, you don't know. It's like he's posing for the cover of some magazine or is he getting ready for a rally later tonight? We're not sure what's happening.
Especially from the chest up, it's all back. It's a white T-shirt, and there's literally white drapes in the background, like a curtain. And so it doesn't look good. I've got to admit it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like made of fine fibers from gypsies or something.
Totally looks like a white condom and the tip of it broke and just the head popped out. Like that's what he looks like right now. I mean, there's no other way. But it has teeth and it's smiling at me. So
it's got a really nice comb over.
The people on the Decision Hour have never heard this kind of banter before.
No.
Do you guys normally have like just 4 military dudes get together and chew the fat, or you actually have topics?
This is actually I think I'm trying to think back. I started this show in 2015. This is episode whatever, and I don't think I've had this many. There's never been more than me and just one other person, maybe two people. No, just usually me and just one other person. So this is kind of the first. You guys are the first to do it like this, and probably the last. So,
well, I'm sure you probably have many serving or veteran listeners,
Yes.
and I know that they'll all be familiar with it. You get four dudes together with all worn uniform.
This was one of the reasons why I wanted all of you guys on, is because one of the things, I'm going to jump right into this. One of the things, Not Your Average Operator is your guys' podcast. And those of you that are listening, if you haven't listened to the show, you can check it out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, really anywhere a podcast can be heard. You can check it out on the Heroes Media Group Network. The banter that you guys have in your shows, like it's funny listening to the beginnings of the shows, because it's always somebody's busting somebody else's balls before the serious topic gets in. And it's funny because you're like, holy shit, this is like a couple guys getting together, and you guys are in different geographical locations literally around the world. So the fact that it amazes me that you guys are all over the world, and you come together and you kind of, dig on each other a little bit in good fun. This is obviously in good fun. But then when you guys hit that switch, Raph is like, no, I'm serious. When you guys hit that switch, it's like you guys are adding it, like all of a sudden here, you guys open up a Pandora's box, and it's like, all right, here we go. Here's a ton of value that we're bringing to the world, and we're changing people's lives for the better. And that's what I think is really special about your guys' show. And I'm not saying that because I got you guys on because you guys know me and I'm an ass, and I'll tell you straight out if I think you guys suck, Tio. But I mean, it's one of those where I've enjoyed working with you guys over the last, year and a half that you guys have been doing the show, and seeing the effects of what your show brings to the world. So with that being said, Paul, let's start with you. Kind of introduce yourself, kind of give yourself a little bit of a background, let the people know who you are and how you kind of got started in this and why.
Well, they're very kind words, Adam, and I really appreciate that, man. So I am living in the Middle East. I live in Saudi Arabia, where it's obviously a totally different time to where the other boys are. I started out in the Australian military. Straight out of high school, I joined the Australian Army and served for 4 years in the green uniform, and went to college and then applied for and got selected into a powder blue uniform. They gave me a handbag and I joined the Air Force. And I did my pilot training then and served. I did some operational tours over Iraq in 03, 04 and 05, flying a maritime patrol aircraft, American-built P-3 Orion, doing intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance mission. Then I was lucky enough to get selected to become an instructor. Flew as an instructor for a number of years in Australia at our flying school on the West Coast, and also instructed on the P3s. And then came out here to Saudi, where the flying school here is run by the British military. The British government runs a flying school, and they open it up to the British Commonwealth. So you've got Australians, Canadians, Kiwis, South Africans primarily. And I've been out here for 11 years, and flying out here, still a bunch of brothers that I fly with every day, all ex-military guys. And I met Raf about, it's like 4 years ago, I think now, that Raf was out here, and he was here with the US military. And he just started coming out and hanging out every weekend, pretty much, hang out with the family, cook up, hang out, see the kids, just feel like he was, away from home. We became super close mates. I've traveled over and was lucky enough to stay with him and his family in Spokane, Washington. And then a couple of years went by and he was like, hey, Melon, I've got this idea. And it was the seed of the idea to start this podcast, Not Your Average Operator. And that was when I met Mike. So Mike and I, until, July this year, had never actually been in the same place together. And so we've run the podcast for 18 months. A few conversations with you, and also obviously met you in July as well in DC. And, talking with these guys is a privilege. I've been working this conversation with these two guys. We're really close. We talk a lot offline as well. But we sort of get together once a week and we have quite a serious conversation. I think it's reasonably rare for men to talk about the things we talk about. Yeah. And like, I think it's healthy. It's been really good for me through hard times, through COVID, separation from family, had 6 months out here on my own. And having people who I know will call me on my bullshit and are really in it for me to be a better person, that's a real measure of real friendship. And I know that these two idiots, when we're not full of banter, are really those guys for me.
Yeah.
And if they were to take me aside and say, hey, Melon, you know, you need to do more of X or you need to do less of Y, I would no shit take their advice. And, you know, I feel privileged to be in a conversation with these two. And as far as who you are for us, you're the guy who enables all of this. We're lucky enough to be on, you know, under your umbrella on Heroes Media Group. And I know you're a person who's got a mission in life as well. You're not just a person out there, a producer. Like, this is stuff that you live and breathe. Yeah. And we really feel like you're part of this team, the three of us plus you. And, yeah, long may it continue. Like, we feel like we're making a difference for people with the stuff that we talk about. And, you know, we hope to add just a little something to people.
Yeah. And I think you guys do that. Thank you. Let's go with Tio. What do you think, Raph? Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you, what you're doing now legally, and you know, stuff like that. Go ahead.
Thank you for that softball. I'd like to just echo what Melon said, and I really do mean it from the bottom of my pig heart. You're not just a pretty face with an Osama bin Laden beard. You're a lot more to us than that. So, and the reason, if I could just a little bit more detail, a little bit more nuance, if you will, to the backstory between Malin and I, is I let him borrow $40 and he just wouldn't pay me back. So I kept going back to his house every weekend, the whole year that I was there in Saudi Arabia as an advisor. And he still owes me $40. So I'm going to start a GoFundMe page for all the listeners. Just, we'll call it Malin.
Are you tacking interest on that? I'm just curious.
No, the juice has been flowing.
Okay.
It's been flowing since 2016. Anyway, so that's just, I covered those bases. I can move on.
See you next Tuesday.com.
See you next Tuesday.com. So I kind of, a lot of people know I was also military. I was with the Federales for a long time, about 56 years. And then I was kind of like Melon. I started off enlisted. I was a Navy corpsman. Then I was with the Jarheads. And then they just said, hey, your IQ's way too high. You have to go somewhere else. Because it's, you know, being around Marines, Adam. Seriously, you know, I don't have to go there. Where's Boggs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I did that for a little bit. I thought there was some interest in medicine, so I kind of started pursuing that in my personal life. But then just through chance events, I ended up, there's a couple people that made significant, I guess, interest in me, and it kind of planted a seed. Because as a young guy, I always thought flying would be cool, but I didn't, you know, I might as well have said I wanted to be an astronaut because, you know, son of migrant. I mean, I'm not making this up. I remember being about 10 years old, picking strawberries. My dad would take us in the summertime to go pick strawberries for work. And it was next to an airport. And I would look up and I would see these helicopters and planes, like just doing traffic pattern work. And I just remember thinking like, that's amazing. But that was so far out of my reach that I just thought I would never, you know, how the hell do you even get there? Right. But like I said, through chance events, really friendships, man, the friendships have been the key it's like the key component that has enriched my life. I mean, I think about the friends that I have. Clearly, I'm not talking about Paul and Mike. And it's just, my life has been amazing. It really has. I feel like the wealthiest person on earth because I've got some amazing friends. But anyways, that's how I started flying Blackhawks, did that for 14, 15 years, retired, did a little bit of ISR, kind of to what Melon alluded to, did that for a couple of years. And I just recently left that and I'm going back to commercial flying for a major airline and just living out in Spokane with these lush trees, just living my best life, nice. Trying to raise a family, trying to be a good dude. I mean, that's kind of me in a you know, very condensed, you know, how do you put 44 years into a couple minutes? But kind of again, what Mellon said, it's been cathartic, to say the least, to be able to have these really not always comfortable conversations, but the fact that you trust and respect each other, which is why, for anyone who's listening, which is why we talk to each other the way we do, because that's all superficial, right? Sort of. I kind of mean 99% of what I say, but at the bottom of all that, there genuinely is love and respect. And, you know, you guys all know that at the drop of a hat, I would buy a ticket if I needed to get down to your side and prop you up or, you know, take a knee with you. I mean, it's just what friendship really is. So it's rare.
Well, thank you for that. And
yeah,
Mike, what about you? Mike, and let me before Mike says anything here, Mike's kind of the baby of the group, I think. And not baby as in like he whines a lot, because he does.
No, it's exactly.
But he
nailed it.
It's because Mike's the young man of the group. I'm sorry, Mike. So Mike, go ahead.
Wow, I'm very privileged to go last. You know, age before beauty. I get it. So I appreciate that, Adam. I'm not surprised by the order. To say the least.
Pretty boy is what you're saying.
No, I just said no.
That's kind of what I heard.
Nah, I'm not dressed like Jesus, and I'm not dressed like I just hopped over into Arizona. So, you know,
he's not that pretty.
I'm good, but no. So my kind of story with this is, so 10 years ago I got pulled into a charity event, and I was just like, man, this is really cool. Like, why am I part of this? And I made friends with my friend Sergeant Patrick Sowers, who was doing a lot of charity work, and I think that was the first time I really started looking outside myself as far as like, hey, I really like helping other people and seeing deserving people get what they deserve. Like, it's just one of those feel good things, you know, soul food, I guess. And, you know, working with him for about 2 years, he kind of made Not Your Average Operators a title, you know, a small little business type thing. And it wasn't until early last year that, you know, we've had these types of conversations for a long time. It just hasn't been recorded. You know, I'm sure a lot of people listening in the military, you sit in your team rooms or on deployment, and sometimes you just have these deep conversations, and you look back and you're like, man, I wish I could have pushed the record button and go back and listen to that, you know, because there's a lot of gold in there. And we were in Dallas, Texas, and we were sitting around a table, and one of those conversations came up just about life and what was going on. And Raph it was Raph's idea. I'll give him a little bit of credit. He's like, we should pursue a podcast and maybe figure out how we can go ahead and formulate this and share these conversations, because I get so much out of it. And I agreed with him. But to be honest, at the first point, I was like, I can't do it. So mainly for my background, and I'm very protective of that. So my background is real broad. I've been in special operations in the U.S. military for about 15 years almost now, come February. And it doesn't matter what branch or what I do or anything. It's not the point. It's just I wanted to protect that, because it's not about a title or anything. Like, I know it might attract some people to be like, oh, well, I want to listen to this guy because he's this, and your perspective. Know that I'm in special operations, but please know that I'm just a man like everybody else, and I have the same problems as everybody else. I am not special. I'm no superhero. I'm not, there's no magic over me that I'm immune to anything. If not, I probably carry more weight than the average person because of what I am exposed to. So that's just the honest truth. So long story short, you know, Raph and I talked. He was like, hey, I know this guy named Mellon. He's kind of a see you next Tuesday, but I think, you know, he's well-spoken enough. He dresses nice. He likes tea. And I think he'd be a good addition. So I think it took one 10, 15-minute introduction, and it was just like, yeah, man, we all just clicked and we got it. And, you know, the rest is history. Yeah. So trying to make that difference in people's life, including our own, because I'm positive every week we don't talk. We walk away feeling like we missed something. And then whenever we do talk, we walk away feeling empowered, like everything becomes more clear. And it's just like, man, I'm ready to kick off this week, and nothing's going to throw me off. So it's been great, man. 74 weeks straight that we've done this. And
yeah. That's a feat in and of itself. You guys are very consistent with it, and that's I've been doing this for a long time, as you guys know, and that's a hard thing. I'm guilty of it. I'm not consistent with this show. It's been a while since this is the first episode I've done, probably in 2 months. But you guys religiously every week do that. And when I don't see you guys' show, if it's like, all right, hey, are you guys doing a show this week? I've gotten nervous. There's a couple of weeks where it's just like, I know you guys travel, and again, you guys are different parts of the world, but you guys still manage to come together and pump out some great content. So let me ask you this. Show's called The Decision Hour. Do you guys think, when you guys made the decision to do this, I'm kind of hearing like it's therapeutic for you guys. Is that a accurate assessment?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, but it's more than that, right? Like I said, it's cathartic because we talk about real life. I mean, and we're talking about the heavy stuff in life. Not always. Sometimes we try to take the lighter road, but also in our own personal lives without putting too much out there. We've all behind the scenes, and some of it we've been open about. There's stuff that Mike had gone through, and it was just like, it was the perfect platform as men to kind of, help him along his issues. And same thing with Mellon, and same thing with me. Mine was a little bit more recent. Again, this is all behind the scenes, but it's when you have people that are, once you get past all the fluff and you know what the person is made of, and you know that they're genuinely, they love you and they're your brothers. I mean, you can solve any damn issue in the world. I mean, that's what it is. It's such I think I don't know who said it, but it's such an empowering tool to have friends like this, to have a sounding board like this, where you can make some really difficult decisions, but you know that you're making the right decision in this complex issue because you've got some really, really, you've got some titans on your corner, right? And fuck, who doesn't want that?
Right. I think the one thing I like real quickly is you guys are very humble. Subtract the first 3 minutes of the show, it might not seem that way, but you get ultimately you guys are and I say that kind of jokingly because I know you guys, right? And I've met you guys. Well, two of you at least, face to face, but I'm comfortable saying you guys are very, very humble for your guys' backgrounds, and the fact that you guys are for me, and I've never said this to you guys, but to me, I look up to you guys. It's nice to see you guys and what you guys have done. I'm like, you guys are giants. I think of you guys as I haven't really done much, and I know that's kind of a false statement. I'm fortunate to have done the things, but I think one of the reasons why I resonate to you guys so much because you guys are humble as well. You're just listen, we put our pants on at one leg at a time. Well, Tio tries to jump in them, whatever, but it's the rest of us put our pants on one leg at a time, and you guys are just so humble about it. And then the conversations that you guys have, it's man, it's mind blowing because out of 73 episodes that you guys have put out, I've learned something new in every single episode.
Well, Adam, I could just kind of sum up our group, I think, in a really good way, and I know the other two would approve, is, being humble is very important to us because of our mission is not about flaunting or limelighting success. It's about significance. And no matter what we do or what we accomplish, live in the victory and enjoy it, celebrate victories because sometimes they're few and far between. But all three of us, I think, have become significant parts of each other's lives. Yeah. And also some of the feedback that we've gotten from some amazing people that we never thought we would reach. You can hear the significance in their story and the impact. And, I don't care, what I do in my life, my job or title or anything, that doesn't matter to me, man. To live a life of significance and to help those around you. I mean, that's that's the goal. I mean, that's a beautiful gift that not everybody can do. And I believe that this team and how we operate and how we go about ourselves, man. I mean, I love being part of this for that reason. It's so clear what the mission statement is.
Mellon, do you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, a part of what T.O. talked about on his intro is that he had certain people stand for him that were like, you could be a pilot. And he was like, what are you talking about? That's not even inside my wheelhouse. And I had that. And I know Mike had that. And I'm sure you had that at some point, and you're one of the people doing it for your son. And like all of us are on the shoulders of someone who went before us. And if we all could just have that one person who's standing for us to be something better than what we are now, or they can see something in us that we can't see, and to act in any stage in life with arrogance is to take all of that away and be like, I did this all on my own. And that is a load of horseshit, if you pardon my French, right? Because none of us got here on our own. And whatever success we might have in some areas of our life, we're going to be struggling in other areas, and to deny that is to just bullshit yourself and doom any like success you're going to have overall, because you've got to bring all the areas up, right? And so these two really, really stand for me, and both of them have told me straight about areas where I've been failing or given me really good, strong advice. And like, I like to think that the conversations we have allow other men and women who listen in to access some of that and to be able to maybe apply some of that in their own lives. Sure as shit, we don't know everything. That's apparent as soon as you get us talking.
Now, I had a question. I forgot what it was now. What you guys? How do you guys overcome something? You just mentioned it a little bit, like we do success. Nobody that's been successful in life has gotten there by themselves. And I agree with that 100%. So how do you, if something happens, right, to you where it wasn't the outcome that you expected, or you start feeling yourself slipping in a dark place, what do you guys do individually? What do you do yourselves to kind of either flip the switch, flip your mindset? Is there a technique or something that you do? Like me, I try to do like breathing exercises, or I go for a walk to just kind of release that. For me, I'm a very I don't want to say very, very religious person, but I believe in God. So for me, I'll say a prayer, I go for a walk, and I just feel like evil or the devil or whatever you want to call it is just trying to block me from getting to where I want to go. So I'll make the decision to go for a walk, or just come in the office here, turn the lights out, and just try to focus on breathing exercises for like 15 minutes. What do you guys do?
I think there's going to be a lot of really good answers here, but I'll just, for me personally, talk about it and ask for help. Like that's probably the biggest thing that comes off to my bat. And maybe that's some of the hardest things that you have to do. But that's part of my personal mission. Is I know how people view me for like knowing what I do and my background and everything does not excuse me from my emotional or mental health or like anything else like that. I am the first one to ask for help. I am the first one to talk about my awareness, my emotional intelligence. If I'm stressing about stuff or going in to approach something, I will go to Raph and Mellon, no question, and some other people, including you, Adam.
Yeah.
But hey, what? I'm really struggling today. I'm not going to lie.
And, Mike, let me say this, Mike, is asking for help. That seems to be, and I'm glad you said that, because I've certainly had trouble with that. Even this past year, personally, I don't like asking for help, because I feel like, and this is full disclosure. Up until about a couple months ago, I realized I didn't like asking for help because my pride was getting in the way.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And I think those that are listening, if there's always like, well, if you should ask for help, you should ask for help. Well, if you want to help somebody, they got to want to be helped first, right? And so how do you get them to ask for that help if they're not comfortable asking for help?
We've talked about this. We've done a topic on this, and we've talked about troops in contact will get on the radio and they'll call in that indirect fire support mission, or they'll call in that Kazovac chopper with TO at the helm, or they'll get an ISR bird in the sky over the top. And how much we all love to be that person providing help, the person in the Overwatch coming in and really making a difference for people who need it. And yet in life, in our personal lives, we're all like exactly what you said, like, I am supposed to be a self-sufficient person. I should be the one who deals with these problems that come up. I shouldn't have problems. And if they do come up, I should be able to crush them myself.
Right.
And there's certainly a pride piece. There's a lot of us with a military background, we've been trained to be self-sufficient. It's something that's held to the top in your culture and certainly in Australia as well. That self-sufficient person is what we admire. Mm-hmm. And when we don't ask for help, we deny all those other people around us that opportunity to be that person coming in and lending a hand. And we also will put that problem out into our future and we'll just make it persist. And 100% the hardest thing is to ask for help. 100%. To put your pride aside and say to someone, I'm having a hard time. And I'll say that both these guys have had conversations like that from me. And the first person I normally go to, Adam, is the wife. And I'll just be like, owning the problem and being like, I've done something here that I'm not proud of. There's an outcome occurring. I don't know how to get past it. And to just generate some ownership for me is like in that first step.
Right.
Being able to access, getting back into positivity, there has to be a sense of the problem's inside me rather than outside. As soon as I'm like, it's the government or it's the weather or it's this or it's that guy, I'm powerless to do anything about it. And where I'm like, how did I generate this? How did I cause this? How am I complicit in creating the things I say I don't want? Put an episode on it. So that's really the step to regaining power, but it's a bitter lemon you got to suck when you're like, I've caused this in some way, I've contributed to it.
So you just said there are people out there that want to help, right? And I think it's safe to say all of us here are definitely here for each other. But for somebody that's listening right now, if they feel like there's nobody that they can turn to for help or whatnot, knowing that there's a lot of people out there that have gone through certain things that we have gone through in our lives, is it selfish not to ask for help?
I think there's an element of that. There has to be an element of that, an element of pride and selfishness sort of, it's a thin line between those two states to be like, I'll deny those other people the opportunity to help or,
Yeah.
I think that there definitely is an element of selfishness in it.
I think what kind of brings the hesitation in there, and, speaking from my own experience when I was a little bit younger, before I kind of got to this point of asking for help as a regular thing, is who I was looking at to go ask for help. Who is that person that I would share my emotions with or what I was going through with? Is it somebody that's sitting at a bar, as our friend Tony Sr. has said, like, hey, you got problems? Here, crack another one. Is that the person I was going to seek good, sound life advice? Like, what characteristics, what values and everything did they carry themselves? It's like when you're a junior guy in the military, it's like, well, I'm going to go to my team leader because he's my team leader or my squad leader, whatever. It doesn't matter. Because, they're automatically this, know everything person. No, it's not. It's a title. It's not who they are. Right. You're in a position, but it's just like, who are you as a human being? And particularly for me, it's like, who are you as a man?
Right.
So I lost my father at 18 years old. And I feel like I was, kind of robbed of my manlyhood guidance for my life because I didn't have a guy that I could reach out to for a long time. And as time has gone on, I'm very proud of this. I say I lost my dad, but I gained a bunch of big brothers, and 3 of them are on this show right now. Where I can just pick up the phone and make a call and have an honest conversation. Because those qualities are there. I can see the humbleness. I can see pride and ego get put to the side. And also what pillars and exercises are they leaning on every day to improve themselves. I don't want somebody in my life that is very simple to give me the quick answer and everything's fixed and good to go, because that's not the truth. I'd rather have people in my corner, as Mellon said, call me on my bullshit, tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear, or to make me feel comfortable. Sometimes I need the hard. And honestly, right now, like, I embrace the hard because I know I'm prepared for it, not just for myself, but because of my circle is there to help pull me through it when I need them. And there's no better feeling than that.
Tio?
Yeah, I was just going to wait for these two to give, because I knew there were going to be some awesome responses. Kind of to build off of what Mellon said, I also kind of exercise that. I don't know if it's stoicism, or I don't really know what it is, but whenever there's a significant issue, whether it's a marital issue or, relationship, work, kind of like what Mellon said, I always try to find how I played a role in that. Right. I like to say this out loud because it keeps me honest. It's most of our issues are usually created by us. Something we're doing, something we're not doing. Right. Like if you sit there and say, man, I wish I had a six pack abs. Okay. Are you consuming about 100 grams of sugar? Because if you are, Adam, I wasn't looking at you.
Sorry.
I was looking next to you.
Focus. Don't worry.
Yeah. But I think, so that's just one component of it. The other thing is there has to be consistency. So just because you're up, it doesn't mean you're not going to fall, right? So even though I've squared away some issue, doesn't mean there's not 20 other issues waiting to come into my life. And so kind of like what Mike alluded to, just know what tools work for you. And it's different for everybody. And I know that your question was specific, like, what do you do? Well, there's a lot of things that I do. I like to make myself miserable. I literally do. Like to make myself uncomfortable. I take ice baths all the time. I work out because that's a place where it's kind of like mental therapy for me. If I get a good workout in where I'm just like, that sucked, but it gives me a sense of empowerment. It gives me courage. Like, man, if you just suffered through that, what can't you do? Right. And I also have like a collection of memories where I'm like, where I overcame something significant. And then just like, hey man, it's kind of like not a pat in your back, but it's just kind of like, hey, you can do this because you've done X, Y, Z. And that was difficult, and then the last thing I would say is just especially when you're in that space where you're just like in a negative box and everything seems like it's shitty. It's so easy for us to focus in on these things that are making us miserable. But that's why it's the most important thing. And this is the most important practice, is to show gratitude. Like, stop and be like, look, I understand that these things are all making me miserable, but there's these other 20 things that I'm entirely grateful for. And if I'm not, I should be grateful. Yeah. And that has always been significant for me. Like something as simple as, I'm grateful that I don't have Mike's hairline. I'm grateful that I have a better wardrobe than Mellon. I don't just wear wife beaters. Just those little steps of like, I'm grateful for that. Man, it puts me in such a, look, it doesn't mean that I won the battle, but it puts me in the direction that I need to go. And then I build off of that, right? So if it puts me in the right mindset, maybe I go get a workout in. And then at the end of the workout, if I conjure up the courage, I'll go dip down in a ice bath for seven minutes. And then I'm like, fuck, I just did all these things. I'm going to go crush this problem, whatever it is. And I'm telling you, 99% of the time, it's me. I'm the one creating the issue.
Right.
And I just go own it.
You said a lot of the things there, so I want to kind of recap a couple of things. One of the things that you have to do going through life is we often forget of, sometimes, at least me personally, I forget some of the things that we've overcome, right? You can't change the past, right? You can only affect the future, and what you're doing today is going to affect what happens tomorrow and so forth. And here's the other thing. Regardless of what any of you listeners think, you can't control a situation. The only thing you can control is your reaction to that situation. If you can master your mindset of knowing that you can't, and I'm guilty. I did it yesterday. I got pissed off about a situation I had no control over, and I wasted a solid 3 hours being mad about it. And now that I said that out loud, I'm more mad that I wasted the 3 hours yesterday because of it. But it was a situation that I couldn't control. It was with one of the other businesses, and but after what you just said, Rev, sometimes you look back and you see obstacles that you've overcome. I like to use the those that have listened to this show for a long time know that I will, I've used the analogy walking in the woods. You're on like a fire road, if you will. Okay. And when you're walking on that fire road and then it comes to a fork in the road, there's a fork in there. You can either go left or you can go right. And if you go to the right, that path is clearly worn down. A lot of travel on that. Go to the left, it's a little rougher, not as many people has traveled. I'm the type where I'll get an axe and a chainsaw and I'll find the thickest part of the woods and I'll kind of make your own trail. And I'm not calling myself a trailblazer. That's not what I'm saying. The point that I'm making is I'll find the hardest way to do something and make it harder just to show that I could do it. You know what I mean? I don't make any sense. I know, but that's basic. But that's how I've lived my life. I will make something harder just because I'm an idiot and say, hey, this is what I got to do. I got to make it harder just to prove to myself. But once you start doing that, you turn and look back, and now all of a sudden you're seeing people that are walking down the trail that you've started, right? I say this because it's important to remember where you've come from. It's too easy to forget about some of the things that we've overcome in our lives. The other thing I want to say there is the gratitude part of it, man. One of the things, and I preach this religiously, when I wake up in the morning, before my feet even hit the ground, I put a smile on my face, regardless of how I'm feeling that morning. I force a smile on my face, and when my feet hit the ground, I say thank you. And then I get up and I go make coffee and I start just in my mind praying about what I'm grateful for, my family, my friends, the opportunity to change somebody's life today. Little things like that. If you can be grateful for the little things, then you have a whole world of opportunity of other things that you can be grateful for. Teal.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just make this quick. There's a lot of literature out there on what gratitude does to your physiology. None of us here are scientists. Trust me, none of us. But there's way smarter people. Dr. Jordan Peterson is probably one that comes to mind. Yeah. David Sinclair, these absolute titans in their fields. Start with them. But if you just Google gratitude physiology, there is no shortage of literature. There's no shortage of documentaries. There's no shortage of information on what that does to you as a person, not just your psyche, but even physiology, like how you perform as a person. Yeah. So gratitude is not just one of those make you feel good things. It's genuine. You're changing more than just your mindset. You're changing your entire, like the way your body reacts and performs. And it's a pretty powerful thing. Yeah. It's not an easy thing. So don't get discouraged if you're constantly having to remind yourself. Trust me, it took me a while to practice that, yeah. Anyways, Melon.
I was going to say as well, like that, I 100% what Raf's just said and 100% on what you've just been preaching there, Adam, to the choir that we are. The gratitude piece has a cumulative effect, but it's like an exponential cumulative effect. So in the beginning, it feels like you're not really getting anywhere, but you're 10% more than yesterday. But it's off a low base. Yeah. And it's like nothing's really happening. But after some years of doing this, it really helps you weather the storms, man, when the shit times come. You've got like a foundational base of just, you're freaking happy you're alive. You're happy you were born into a liberal democracy, that you had your parents, that you're born now, you're living in 2021. Like there's a million things you could be grateful for. There's a million ways your life could be worse than it is now. And when you've had this running for a long time, some shit comes up and it's like, you know what? It's not that bad. We're talking 1% of stuff. Yeah. That's my first point, is that it adds up over time. And I've had that point that you made, that you have no control over the cards you dealt. Life deals your cards out. And we, especially in the West, live like, no. I'll send all 5 cards back and you can give me 5 aces, thanks. That's what I want. I want 5 aces. No, you don't get any say in that. All you get to say is how you play the hand you dealt.
Right.
And I remember that being really apparent when my daughter was born, super prem, and we had 6 months in hospital, and she had 13 general anesthetic operations. And I was really like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't put my hand up for this. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. I did not want to be here. I didn't know this hospital existed. I envy the guy who didn't. And then when my wife had cancer a couple of years later, I was like, that initial thought starts to rise. Yeah. Like, why am I getting these cards? I didn't want this. But if you just put that aside and you can be like, this is where we are, like you have no power in your environment until you can be where you are. Like Mike's talked about that navigation piece about getting anywhere. You got to start with where am I now? And if you don't own that in all the misery and all the beauty, like there's no taking a step forward in the right direction. Otherwise you're floundering in the dark. So if you can have that, all I get to choose is what I do now. My reactions are the only thing I have. The first part of it's my mentality. My emotional state is something I need to be responsible for because that's going to lead to thoughts. The thoughts are going to lead to actions. And over time, those are going to become habits. So you talking about getting out of bed and saying thank you and having a moment of prayer and gratitude in the morning, like everyone should be doing something like that during their day.
Yeah, I start the day off, on a good note. Now, by 8:30, 9 o'clock, it might be a different story. But I mean, but at least I started the day off really well. You know what I mean, Mike?
Oh well, that's true. You do practice that, but I would just like to say when we were in DC and we woke up the next morning from lots of.
You're making it weird right now, bro. I'm telling you, you are making it weird right now.
We shared a room. I was in a completely separate bed, and I wake up and I look over at Adam, and his head pops up like it was like Groundhog Day, and he saw a shadow. His eyes are big as hell, and he's like, "Oh no!" And he was not happy. He was hurting, to say the least.
Yeah. So what he's not telling you is I'd been up for like 2 or 3 hours while he was just like
enjoying myself. Yes, I was.
Yeah. See, you're making it weird again. You're making it weird again.
He really is.
Yeah, enjoying
Navy, Army,
listen.
Air Force. We don't need this.
Well,
I feel dirty right now. I'm just saying.
Your actions were there. Your words were not. Thank you. It was.
Yeah, like
it sounded like a moose dying.
That guy next to me, he's like, yeah.
Who said I love you first? Which one of you said I love you first?
We can't tell. There was a voice in the dark, and we were like, "What the hell was that?" So it was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
But well, no. So just getting into something recent. Okay, we're talking about mindset, what you can't control, and we haven't really talked this week. We've all been busy and lots of significant things going on in all of our lives and being across the world. Last weekend it's pretty good. Everything was on the up and up, and it was like, man, I really like where I'm at, feeling good. And the work was definitely reflecting. And into the weekend, we had a casualty within our community. And I won't share too many details because there's an active investigation going on in that respect. But it was a really bad injury of a teammate falling from a helicopter. And we don't know why yet. But regardless, the end state is he passed away at the beginning of this week. And he had a wife and 5 children. And that hit me really hard. I was, you go from a high and then walk into work and you see some of your teammates and it's quiet, somber mood. And you just, it's one of those things where you just look at each other and you just know. And I talked to a good friend of mine that was at the same team. And I said, hey, man, I'm hearing some bad rumors about, he passed away. Is that true? And he just shook his head. And honestly, I took the morning and I told Mellon actually, because Mellon called to check on me. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I just got to get my mind right. And I need to process, and I can't block this out. I can't, I'm not going to compartmentalize this. And that's a huge difference between the man I am now versus who I was a year and a half ago and prior. Mellon said, "What's the biggest difference between now and then?" And I said, I allowed myself to feel it. And I just let it happen. I didn't try to block it, compartmentalize it. I just let it roll. And I took the morning, I made myself breakfast. And honestly, I sat on my couch and cried for about 10 minutes, and I wept I'll miss him, but I know he went doing what he loved doing.
Right.
I wept for his family, his wife and his children. There's never a time that's good, but especially right before Christmas time.
Yeah.
And, I got to put my dress uniform on and go to his memorial this upcoming Monday. And it just slammed me right back down into reality hard. This is what I do for work. This is who I'm around. This is what is being asked of me. And, he went to work that night, didn't have to be there. He didn't have to be in that helicopter. He's a commanding officer. Okay. So this is like Kelly Hines and his example of going out and being with his men and leading from the front. He didn't have to be there, but just the fact that he did, and that's how he went, was a perfect reflection of him. And, I said the hardest thing to look at is it's a huge, massive blow to the community, period. But we took a moment, we absorbed it, we processed it, and I was right back to training. I run training, and I told Mellon and Raph, hey, my biggest challenge is getting my mind right, because I'm running training and I don't want this to happen again. I need to take care of my guys, make sure that they're good, everybody's safe. And that was a hard challenge. But the XO took over, and then a person came in and replaced him, and the community moves forward. That's how the military works. His family, there's no XO. There's no executive officer. There's nobody filling that spot. There's a gap that's always going to be there now. And his wife and children have to live with that. And that's not easy saying, but it's something we have to be honest with and look at, and just let yourself feel that, because we're all human beings at the end of the damn day.
I think there was a time in my life where I would shut everybody out, and this was much younger days of Adam, where I was numb to even my family. Like, I would just shut them out. It would be like, come home, visit us, whatever. No, I didn't care. Didn't want them to. They couldn't understand. It was like one of those, like, they didn't understand, and I was tired of trying to explain it, because regardless how many times you try to explain your feelings to somebody, you shut that out. And now it's a little bit differently. I know they don't necessarily understand, but I don't necessarily have to be an asshole trying to explain it to them either. More importantly, when we're, in our younger days full of piss and vinegar, and we think we're invisible, nothing can stop us. Now that we're all a little more seasoned, we have a different outlook on things. And I say this, Mike, because I hear what you're saying. And for you guys to go through that is one thing, because you have to carry on the training. It goes back to that. It's a situation you can't control, right? For you guys, you learn from it, and the mission continues. But what you just mentioned was the family. And that's something that is often not talked about. I personally don't think the families are talked about enough, and what the families have to sacrifice. It's easy for us because we've all laced up the boots and worn a uniform and have gone off and done the whole stuff. You don't hear about what the family goes through back home, and I think more of that needs to be talked about.
It's through conversations like this. And we've all had loss, all three of us, all four of us, we've all had loss. But it's through conversations and being vulnerable and talking about these things that, as bad as this week has been, I am able to look at it and pull out the positives that are going to push me forward and make me appreciate things more, make me realize I need to be more grateful. Lessons learned from him and his leadership. Even his family, as hard and bad as it is, his kids are going to grow up tougher, stronger, more resilient. And, I'm not perfect, but, Melon and I, we both lost a parent when we were young, and we both turned out pretty well because of the lessons that we were able to pull from that terrible experience. So even in your worst day,
yeah,
you can pull out some amazing positive things if you choose to see it.
Melon.
I want to just share with you guys something an experience I had this week talking with Mike offline about this incident. And I really just thought, what a gift the man that you've become, Mike, for your community, to be able to go into work in a place where you've had your moment, you've experienced your emotion, you've gone to work, and you're able to talk about the elephant in the room with the men and the women and get that clear before going into quite high intensity operations that day, as you shared with me privately. And I just really want to acknowledge you for who you are now, like the person you are, able to experience your emotions and process them rather than repress them and experience rage and detonate an inappropriate moment. That the stuff you talked with me about, really getting down to the drills and nailing the safety stuff and the basics, and that your performance and the performance of the teams you were leading that day and that evening were exceptional as a result of that. I just want to really acknowledge what you're doing and the person you are now in the leadership position you're in, with people that you're normalizing, people being able to process emotion and get on with a job and be professional.
Melon, thanks, man. And see, this is what I'm talking about. If I was to stand here and I said, well, yeah, that was all me. I did it all by myself. That was all me. Everything you just mentioned was all me. Thank you. And just do that, I would be lying out my freaking teeth. Okay. The only reason I'm the way I am is a reflection of who I've allowed into my life. And it's guys like this and these conversations that have helped build me into this person that I'm getting complimented about. And I don't take that lightly, because I did not do it on my own. I chose to put in the work, yes, but it was guys like this that helped build me up. And I'm not the only one. Rap's got amazing overcoming stories from the last year and a half. So is Adam. So is Melon. And I told you, they're my mentors, and I look up to these guys, and they're not perfect either, but the effort is there and the qualities and everything are there. And I commend you guys. When people tell me, like, hey, why are you the way you are? And, I'm like, well, I have good conversations with good people. I'll just leave it at that, because I didn't do shit on my own.
There's that saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I'll say this, looking at my friends right now, my brothers, my future's pretty fucking bright. And I'm certainly grateful for that. Melon, you had something.
I was just going to say, your question around mindset, negativity, how to get out of it into positivity.
Yeah.
We could probably all take a few bullet points from what Mike did this week, of spending some time on his own in reflection, experiencing the negative emotion and not repressing it, processing it, which means you got to experience it.
Yep.
Getting himself clear, going in, talking about that negative experience with people that it counted to, and then carrying on with real focus on basics and procedures and doing the drills, like getting back on the horse once you've done that processing. I think that is like a little masterclass in absolutely getting your mindset right from a really massive negative.
And that's stuff you got to practice. This stuff doesn't happen, overnight, right? Mike's gone through a lot. We've all gone through a lot, but it's you slowly develop all of these things and you practice. It's just like anything else. You want to be good at a sport. You want to be good at your job. It takes practice to do. And it's the same thing here. You want to show more gratitude. You have to practice it. You want to be more positive and have more of a positive mindset, you have to practice doing that. Tio, what's up?
I was just going to piggyback off what you said, Adam. You show me somebody's group of friends and I'm going to show you their future. It's kind of along the lines of show me somebody's habits and I'll show you their future, the reason I bring that up is because you need to look within yourself to see what your date, because everybody has habits, right? So whatever habits you've established the last couple of years, last couple of decades, that's going to predicate where you're more than likely going to end up. So if you're trying to get to a specific place, you have to own it. Kind of like what Malin said, you have to understand, the steps that you're doing. And more importantly, those habits you create better be the right habits if you're trying to get to whatever destination you're trying to get. Yeah. So because it doesn't matter how much you know and how much you read and who it's what you do. It's what you do. The things that you do are going to get you to whatever destination you're trying to get to. And no one gives a shit how many books you read. It's what you do.
No, I like that. Habits and one of the questions I was actually going to ask you guys earlier, kind of tied around that is like, you hear things like, it takes 20 days to develop a habit, or 30 days, or whatever the science is behind it. Me personally, it takes me forever to develop a habit, especially ones that I'm trying to break. I'm trying to get back into the gym, working out, and try to get my cover model, fatigue back and physique back. Learning new words is another habit that I'm trying to adapt in 2022. But you got to, it's like repetitive, right? Practice, and the habits and whatnot. And more importantly, I think what you have to do is you have to have the discipline. And I certainly have lost some discipline in my, this year, but you have to kind of hit that switch again and get the discipline back so you can create the habits to cause that action and the outcome of what you're wanting. Melon, go ahead.
I was just going to say it all ties in with exactly what you're up for in your podcast, Adam, the decision hour. And every one of these things is a decision.
Yeah.
None of them happen automatically. The thing that you do daily, it's still a decision. It's still a pain in the ass to put the friggin' gym shoes on and get out there, or to sit down and have the conversation with the wife, or to clear up that issue at work with that coworker. Every single one of them never gets any easier. But what does happen is you get better at it because you've been doing it. And sure as shit, all of us at some point are going to get played a joker card.
Yeah.
We've all got the equivalent of the Mike Tyson fight in our future is going to land on our table.
Yeah. And
if you think you can get in there with zero practice, you haven't rehearsed this stuff, you've never done it when things are good, you think you're going to get out of that ring fight with Tyson alive, that day that the freaking train hits you, you got no chance. So you just have to be like, this is what life is about. It's a constant battle. There's moments of beauty, celebrate them. There's things that when it's tough, fucking suck it up.
Yeah.
And in between, get on with it.
I think that's a good place for us to end, guys. Those of you that are listening right now, if you're listening to the show, it means you're online. Go to heroesmediagroup.com. Check out Not Your Average Operator. You can find them on any place that you listen to your most favorite podcasts from. And I can't thank you guys enough. But before I do that, those of you listening, mindset, positivity, gratitude. That's really the big reason why I brought these guys on this episode, is because these guys live it every day, and each week you get that with their show. I've been doing this a very long time. There's some podcasts that I enjoy listening to, it's like, okay, that was a good show. Their show, I'm in tune every week. You hear everything that they're saying, and it makes you think, and what they're saying, regardless of the week, can you adapt what they're saying and put that into your life. Not Your Average Operator. Make sure you check that show out, folks. Guys, any parting words?
It's been an absolute privilege to participate with you from the beginning, Adam. And, you're an essential fourth member of this team. And I take my hat off to you for what you're up to in the world.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Tio.
Just what Melon said, and I'm not a fitness trainer, but when I used to wrestle, when I was trying to cut weight for a match, I would use X-Lax. So that's my only tip for fitness. If you just want to, I mean, it helps you shed 5-7 LD, and it makes the abs pop. I mean, they really pop. You got to put a little bit of baby oil just for the shine and the luster, but the X-Lax, I mean, it just gets rid of the, anyways, that's it.
I thought you were going to say like a chorizo burrito or something like that, but okay. Mike,
5 day old.
Yeah.
5 day old.
Mike, what do you got?
Same thing.
Yeah, it's not X-Lax. I just eat Taco Bell, man, and it does the same thing, Yeah, that was good. I wasn't expecting.
That's another sponsor off the list, Taco Bell.
Yep, they're gone.
Totally forget about those guys. All right. Thanks, guys.
No, I appreciate being here. Before we did, Melon's always the first one because he loves the kiss ass, but he's just like, oh, mate, so I'm so excited to talk to you, that cheeky accent. But no, it really is. I get excited for the weekend when we plan to record and have conversations like this because, like this week sucked. It really did. Yeah. And this was something positive to look forward to and be able to discuss good things that hopefully help other people. And, I just love being part of this team and doing what we're doing. And like I said, the mission statement is very clear to me. And, thanks for having us on, man. And, anybody wants to hit us up, please check us out. Send us emails. We love feedback, conversations. We've had some really, really great ones recently, and we look forward to hearing from you.
I love it when the guests can close the show for you. This is great. I got to do this more often. Listen, guys, that's all the time that we have for the guys over at Not Your Average Operator. I'm Adam. Make sure you guys go check out Heroes Media Group. Go to heroesmediagroup.com. Check out all the shows. We're hiring, so if you're interested, send us a resume, info@heroesmediagroup.com. Until next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.